Place the board in the center and arrange all 3 decks of cards within reach of the players. Assemble the Black Knight on the table, and place the Black Knight meeple on the Black Knight's crossing space on the board. One player assigns themselves as the dealer and deals a follow card to each player, face up in front of them. The dealer deals 2 Grail cards and 2 quest cards to each player, face down, so only the receiving player can see their own cards. The Grail cards will start the player's hand. Assemble the catapult and find the cow meeple. Both are set aside for now. The dealing player will elect the King Arthur Knight card for themselves, and all remaining players can choose from the rest of the remaining Knight cards. All players locate their matching Knight meeple and place it on the Camelot space on the board. Each player places their matching Valor token on the start of the Valor Point tracker at the edge of the board. The player who chose King Arthur always begins the game with their turn. Each player starts their turn by drawing a Grail card and adding it to their hand. Players are limited to 12 cards in their hand at any time. If drawing a Grail card at the start of the turn causes the player to have more than 12 cards in their hand, the player immediately discards a card of their choice from their hand. There are 3 unique turn actions a player can make on their turn, and players can choose up to 4 actions on their turn in any quantity or order, except for quests, but we'll get to that. Players can spend a turn action to move their Knight meeple along the trail from their current location to any other adjoining location. Any location linked to the current location is a valid move, unless you're trying to go the wrong way across the Bridge of Death, which is one way only to Castle Arg. Whether you started your turn on the location or just moved there during the same turn, a player can spend 1 turn action to activate the action on the space their meeple occupies. This location action can be performed only once per location visit. In order to use a location's action again, the player's Knight pawn must leave the location and return to it again. Final action a player can perform on their turn is questing. Players can only quest once per turn, and a quest always ends the player's turn, so choose your actions wisely. To quest, you must be at the location shown on your quest card. There are 2 types of quests, Grail quests and Adventure quests. Complete the requirement explained on the quest card, and then go to the location indicated on the card to claim your reward. Take the quest action, and then discard the quest card, and gain the rewards indicated on the card. Unlike Adventure quests, Grail quests require you to go head-to-head with other players in a quick card battle. When attempting a Grail quest, you are the quester, and all other players are the defense. Each Grail quest card shows the quest goal, the location where the quest must be attempted, the number of Grail cards the defense draws, and what the quester will gain in the case of triumph or defeat. As the quester, you will use the Grail cards in your hand and any followers with relevant abilities for questing. All other players, known as the defense, must put their Grail cards and follower cards aside for the duration of the quest. The player to the left of the quester will draw the number of Grail cards written on the quest card. The defense will share this hand and choose, as a group, which cards to play on their shared turn during the quest. The defense will take the first turn, followed by the quester. On your turn, you can take one of 3 actions, but the quester has an additional 4th action available. Play a Grail card on your stack. Place the card face up on your stack so that you can see the numbers of all cards added. Take the action on a Grail card from your hand. Take the action shown on the bottom of the card, and then discard the card. It does not go on your stack. Some cards have a shield in the top left corner pointing up or down. If these cards are added to a stack, the shield protects this card from actions against it, as well as 1 card immediately above or below, depending on where the shield is pointing. Neither you nor your opponent can affect cards protected by shields in any stack. You may play a knee card during an opponent's turn to block an action from any Grail card that targets your stack, hand, or the quest goal. Your opponent can then play an eat card to override your neat card, and the original action will take place. Neat cards are the only cards blocked by eat cards. All cards are discarded after use. If you do not have any Grail cards to play, or wish to no longer play on the quest, you may choose to rest. If you rest, you cannot take any more turns in the quest. The other side may take 2 more turns, but may not take any actions affecting the quest goal or their opponent's stack. Take the follower's action and flip over the follower to mark it as used. You may not use it again during the quest. Play continues back and forth until the end of the quest. You may not skip your turn. If your opponent takes an action that pushes your stack total higher than the quest goal, you have until the end of your next turn to lower your stack total or change the quest goal so that your stack is no longer higher than the quest goal. If you take an action on your turn, that pushes your own stack over the quest goal, you lose the quest immediately. The quest will end in one of the following ways. The side with the stack total closer to the quest goal without going over wins. If either side rests with exactly the quest goal, they win immediately, and the quest ends. If the defense or the quester ends their turn with a total that is higher than the quest goal, the other side automatically wins. If the quester wins the quest, they receive everything listed under the triumph on the quest card. Discard the quest card. At the end of a quest, angels in the quester's stack give them extra valor points, even if they lose the quest. These points can only be gained by the quester, not the defense. During a triumph, each angel alone is worth 1 valor point. Pairs of consecutive angels are worth 3 valor points. During a defeat, each angel is worth only 1 valor point. There is no reward for pairs. If the defense wins, each player in the defense earns 1 valor point, and the quester receives everything listed under defeat. If defeated, keep the quest card, as you may attempt the quest again on a future turn. Questing ends your turn, so you may not take any more actions after attempting a quest. Additional free actions a player can perform on their turn include challenges and using certain follower cards. Both of these actions can only be performed once in a turn, but neither is considered part of the 4 actions allotted for a player's turn. If a player's knight pawn occupies the same location as any other pawn, including the black knight, the player may choose to announce a challenge with that pawn. Challenges cannot be performed on the Camelot location. Challenges are only between 2 players, regardless of how many pawns are at a given location, and the same 2 pawns can challenge only once per turn. If either player involved in the challenge begins the challenge with no Grail cards in their hand, that player or players must draw 2 cards from the Grail deck. Each player chooses a Grail card from their hand, any card except for the cow card. Both players reveal their chosen Grail cards on the table, and the highest numbered card wins the challenge. 1s always beat 5s, and relic cards beat any number. The only card that can win against a relic is the Shrubbery relic card. If both players reveal the same number, or both cards are relics, and neither relic is the Shrubbery, the cards are discarded, and both players begin again with a new Grail card from their hand. The winner of the challenge advances their valor token 2 points. The loser retreats their pawn to an adjoining location and discards a follower of their choice. If the loser does not have a follower card to discard, they will instead discard a Grail card from their hand. Execute the action on a follower card, and then turn the card sideways to indicate that it has been used. Follower cards can only be used once per turn. The card is turned right side up on your next turn. Once a player has taken their 4 actions, or chooses to perform less than 4 actions on their turn, the player to the left begins their turn. The first player whose Valor marker reaches or exceeds any of the Black Knight icons on the Valor tracker must draw a quest card and move the Black Knight to the space indicated on the card. Only move the Black Knight the first time each Black Knight icon is reached or passed by a player. If you draw the space the Black Knight currently occupies, replace it with a new quest card and move the Black Knight there. If you occupy the same space as the Black Knight, even if it is not your turn, he will challenge you immediately. Play a card from your hand first, and then reveal the top card from the Grail deck as the Black Knight. If there is a tie, the Black Knight automatically wins. If a cow card is drawn for the Black Knight, immediately replace it with a new card. You can only enter a challenge with the Black Knight once during your turn, so you may not enter a space occupied by the Black Knight if he has already challenged you that turn. If forced to encounter the Black Knight a second time during your turn, you must run away to a connected space. This does not cost an action. If you win the challenge, gain 1 Valor point, and take an arm or leg of your choice from the Black Knight's body. You now have the abilities shown on the back. You may use it once per turn. At the end of the challenge, reveal a quest card and send the Black Knight to the indicated space. If you draw the space that the Black Knight currently occupies, draw for a new space. If you lose the challenge, retreat to a connected space of your choice and discard a follower card of your choice. Cow cards allow you to launch the Cow Meeple. These are the only Grail cards that can be used outside of a quest or challenge, but feel free to use them during a quest or challenge as well. The catapult may fire from anywhere outside of the board. Fire the cow onto the board. If your cow hits the Black Knight pawn or another player's knight pawn, gain 1 Valor point per hit. If a player's knight has been hit by a cow, they must discard a follower of their choice. Players of the Camelot space are not affected by cows, and no points are awarded for hits. If your knight pawn is hit when playing as the defense during a quest, do not discard a follower. Discard a Grail card from the defense's collective hand instead. If you hit your own knight pawn with a cow, you suffer the same damages, but do not gain a Valor point. Once you've used your cow card, immediately discard it and draw a new Grail card to replace it. You may play multiple cow cards in a row. The last scene is triggered when a player receives a certain number of Valor points based on the player count. Finish the round so that everyone will take an equal number of turns during the game. This means that the last scene will begin at the start of King Arthur's next turn. After the round is complete, the player who initially triggered the last scene immediately draws 2 cards and takes the first turn. Turn continues in clockwise order. The last scene is the same as a quest, except that each player is playing as a quester, and the quest goal is always 15. Each player builds their own stack using the Grail cards from their hand. Everyone has access to their followers. If you play an action against an opponent, you must choose one opponent to target. When any player rests or runs out of cards, all other players get 2 more turns, but may not affect the quest goal or the stack of any player who has rested or run out of cards. If a player busts at the end of their turn, they can take no more turns, and the scene continues. If a player rests or runs out of cards with a stack total of exactly 15, they win immediately, and the last scene ends. The player that gets the closest to 15 without busting wins the last scene. They receive 7 Valor points. In a 3-player game, the runner-up receives 5 Valor points. In a 4 to 5 player game, the runner-up receives 5 Valor points, and the second runner-up receives 3 Valor points. Players who bust receive no Valor points. There is no punishment for losing the last scene. Players receive 1 Valor point for each follower they control at the end of the game. The player with the most Valor points wins the game.